Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm really excited about today's video because this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while. And this is going to be a video on the Infant Jesus of Atocha. I know back in December I made a video, it's just a short video wishing you guys blessings and during the Christmas holiday and in the new year, and a special dedication to the Infant Jesus of Atocha, that he bring you prosperity, love, and just all around, many blessings for you and your family. Now, not long after I had posted that video, I got a comment from one of my viewers asking if I could make a video that would provide additional information on this particular saint, which is what this video is going to be about. Now, the Infant Jesus of Atocha is someone that I've been working with for many, many years. He was actually the first saint that I ever started working with. I remember, when I was growing up, I would go visit my aunt sometimes, and she had the oval portrait, the antique portrait that's hanging on my altar, used to belong to her, and she would keep it in the guest room. But when she became ill and couldn't go back home, my mother had tucked it away in in the attic. And I asked her one day, and I was like, can I have it, please? Because I'm drawn to this saint, and that way I know that my aunt is always with me, even though I can't be there like in person to visit her from time to time as much as I would like to. Having this photo on my altar is like my way of visiting with her every day. So he's always there with me. And every day when I wake up in the morning, I talk to him and ask him to give me blessings throughout the day, to let me have a good day, to take away all the worries, all the problems that are going on from the previous day, to wipe the slate clean and let me start on a brand new day. But that being said, the history of the Niño de Atocha dates back all the way to the 13th century, when Spain was under Muslim rule. Now, granted, during that time, the Muslims were very strict, so to speak, with the Christians. So what they did, they threw many of them in the prisons and pretty much left them there to starve. So some of these prisoners had families. They were lucky enough to, be married and have children of their own. And they were also lucky enough that the families would bring them food and water. But eventually it got to the point where the wives of those prisoners were not even allowed to go near them to bring them anything. So children under 12 were the only ones allowed. Well, it was good for the ones that had families, that they had an advantage to have their son or daughter bring them food and water so they wouldn't starve. But to those that didn't have any kids, they were just left in the cells to starve. And the wives of those prisoners were so distraught by that idea that they all banded together and started a petition to the Infant Jesus of Atocha and asked him to please find a way to bring food and water to their husbands so they wouldn't starve. And not long after that, there were reports of a child under the age of 12 wandering through the village and bringing food and water to those prisoners. And when the women would see the statue, they would go and repay their promise to the Infant Jesus. They noticed that his shoes were all tattered and dusty and worn, like as if somebody had been walking through dirt, through miles and miles of dirt. And of course they would, they would change him out, to make him look nice and presentable and what have you. But every single time they would change him out, it was always the same thing. The shoes would come back dirty, or so then eventually they figured out that their petition had been granted, and he was actually the one that was delivering the food and the water, and that making sure that those men didn't starve. And he is the patron saint of the poor and the sick as well. And he is very, very miraculous. I have worked with him in the past, and he has always come through for me every single time. Now, in his iconography, might be a little different, because in prayer cards, he's depicted as having a staff, just as you see him here, but the only difference is he has a staff with a gourd, which is like kind of like a water bottle, or like a canteen filled with water. Here on my statue, I've actually had this one for many years, so it's like, an antique to me. He doesn't have the staff, but he has the drinking gourd right here in his hand. Now, in his other hand, he holds a basket with fruit, flowers, and all the good stuff. And he's also adorned with a little shawl that has a shell attached to it, signifying the pilgrimage that he made for those prisoners, to make sure they had what they needed so they wouldn't starve to death. I encourage you to work with the Infant Jesus of Atocha. If you haven't, if you're not familiar with him, read up on him. There's a lot of interesting information about him, his feast day, his symbols, what situations he's most commonly invoked for. For El Santo Niño de Atocha, what I do, since I know that he's all pretty much like all-purpose, universal, I petition him for any little thing. So it could be prosperity, to bless me with more, maybe more hours at work, or like a better job opportunity, a better home environment, whatever the case may be. It just depends on you. But as I always say to all my viewers, the best thing for you to do is really concentrate on what it is that you want, and ask him with all your heart and soul. And yes, there might be times when you might get emotional when you're praying, because the situation might be inevitable. It might seem inevitable, but I guarantee you it's not. Just leave it in God's hands, and everything will turn out fine. Now, he is very popular among the Spaniards and in Latin America. So I know here not a lot of people are familiar with him, but hopefully with this video and the information that I provided for you, you'll know enough about this particular saint to want to incorporate him into your rituals. I hope that you found this video helpful, and as always, I love you all. I appreciate your views and your comments, because they're what keep me going. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye, guys.